Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Utah High School Hoops Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Peak. You can find us at utahbasketball.net. And in case you have missed it, we have launched a 2026 and 2027 player ranking site. As always, if you have feedback, please give it to me. I'm trying to do the best that I can, trying to get as much data as I can. Not only for the players, but it's also a useful tool for college coaches. So I don't want dogma. I want data. I want accuracy. So please, please, please hit me up if you've got anything. The easiest place to do that is just a comment on Substack. If you can do that, that would be super great. And so today, when we're talking about data over dogma, I'm excited to be joined by Karl Barkley. Karl is with D3 Direct, and here in Utah, we don't have a lot of exposure to Division III basketball, and I think it's part of my obligation as a quote media member to expose people to all of the options that exist out there, and one of them is NCAA Division III basketball. So here's what we're gonna do. I normally have an intro. I'm not gonna play it. So pretend like there's an intro happening right now, and I'm going to pull up Karl Barkley. Karl from D3 Direct. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Adam. Thanks for having me on.
So you're in basketball. I have to ask, how many Charles Barkley jokes do you get on a weekly basis when you're like, I'm with D3 Direct. My name's Karl Barkley. They're like Charles Barkley. Do you get that every single
Yeah,
week?
it's about one a week, I'd say on average. With if I'm at a basketball event, it jumps a little higher, but
For
it's
sure.
a great reference point. People know Charles, and so they remember my name as a result.
It's perfect. It's perfect. So Karl, what is it that you do with what is D3 Direct? Is this like a full-time thing? Is this just a passion for you? I believe you played Division III basketball. Do I have that correct?
That's right. Yeah, I played basketball at Swarthmore College, which is just outside of Philadelphia, in the Centennial Conference. Graduated 2015, um, and yeah, started doing D3 Direct during COVID, so 5 years ago in April of 2020. And at that point, it just was. It started all because my roommate's little sister was talking to my roommate on speakerphone about how she was struggling with her basketball recruiting process, and I kind of you know was in the same room and was just like, maybe I can help, and ended up working with her through that process. She ended up committing to a school a couple months later, and gave me this spark, like, hey, maybe I could turn this into something. And so yeah, at the start it was kind of just like giving out information online to help recruits who all the normal ways of recruiting, in-person events, scouting, had all just disappeared overnight. So it was like, how do we keep the lights on and help kids like keep moving forward in this difficult period? And then flash forward to today, it is full time. As of a month ago, I am
Wow.
working on D3 Direct full time. And really, the goal now is just how do we simplify the college admissions and recruiting process for recruits and their families in the United States and abroad,
I
and
love
then primarily at the Division III level.
And for those of you who are not, please go follow D3 Direct on X, on Instagram. Karl, you've been posting these super helpful videos, and I've been resharing them, not because you're going to be on the podcast, but because they're really insightful. And so everyone, do yourself a favor, stop watching my stories for me to share this. What Karl, you've committed to sharing every day for what? How long? A year?
We're gonna see how long it goes. I've been seeing this kind of trend on Instagram, and I've enjoyed it in other formats. So yeah, I think just see how long it goes. I mean, part of it is I'm working on some larger projects, and I want to have it provides me some accountability and like a daily check-in to say here's where we are with things like the recruiting course we're trying to build, but then also just if I'm on a call with a family and there's a lesson that's applicable to everyone, it gives me a nice concise way to share that with people.
That's amazing. Um, okay, so let's kind of get into Division III basketball. So I laid out a little bit of the realities for Utah college basketball options, and I even made like a little site that was like little interactive site that you could go see like by per capita which state has the most or has the least amount of college opportunities. The data wasn't quite perfect, but it was the best I could do in a half a weekend of making a web app, which is crazy. But Utah is very limited. So the closest Division III school to us is Colorado College,
Yep.
which is where I'm from. So I'm from Colorado Springs. So that was how I knew about Division III athletics, was just going to mostly CC hockey games, because they're
Yep.
obviously Division I hockey program, but basketball wise, it's Division III program. Zero here in the state, zero NAIA schools in the state, one Division II program in the state. So there's not a lot of exposure to Division III basketball in the state. I've been personally able to attend, like I've been to a couple of Wisconsin Stout basketball games. There was a packaging student that I did an NIL deal with. Shout out to Carson Moe, and was able to like promote my packaging podcast through, because Wisconsin Stout is a really good packaging program. So I was able to watch Division III basketball. And one of my favorite stories has been Brody Fox from Wisconsin Stout famously scored like 72 points, I think, in one game without making a three. He went on to the Citadel. He was their leading scorer last year. I think he just signed a professional contract, if I'm not.
He did. Yep, he did.
That's the only reason I would know about Brody Fox, was just through my work in the packaging segment. I'm not crazy about basketball that I'm just randomly following the Blue Devils of Wisconsin Stout.
There are people like that.
There are. There totally are.
States. Right? Yeah.
100%. And I'm not, but like if I went to Wisconsin Stout, I'd be crazy about it. Instead, I love Colorado State because that's where I went. But do I have this right? Are there more Division III programs than there are NCAA Division I programs in the U.S.? Is that true, or
That's correct? Yeah.
Okay.
So NCAA D3, I don't know I'd have to get the exact count, but the last time I looked at this, I want to say it was around 440 members. And then, and obviously that's different for every sport. So they're going to be less for football and maybe more for things like basketball or volleyball. And I think the Division I's in the 200s. So it's not quite double, but it is a fair amount more. It's by far the largest division.
Yeah, easily. And so I think there's a lot of maybe misinformation about Division III, and especially that will be pervasive in a place where there is not a Division III program.
Sure.
So maybe let's start there with just what are some of the biggest misconceptions that you have to combat on a daily basis when people are like, oh, I can't go D3 because, example, they don't give athletic scholarships. Sorry, I almost misspoke. Which is true.
It is true.
But also
there are so many other ways that you can get your education paid for. And I actually did a post recently on Substack with included a podcast with a guy who had transferred from a Division I school in Ohio to a Division III school in Ohio. And he and I were kind of talking about different aspects and going through some of these myths. But one of them is, this idea that you have to get a division, if you're an athlete, you have to get a Division I scholarship in order to get free or discounted tuition. First of all, not every Division I athletic scholarship is a full ride. In fact, most are not. If you don't play football, men's or women's basketball, or volleyball, most of the time they're not going to be full rides. And so, yeah, what we've tried to do at D3 Direct is we actually did a state-by-state series last year to go through every single state in the U.S. that has a D3 school and say, here are the financial resources available to you. Here are kind of like the organizations you should be applying through. And then Division III schools have pretty clear, usually merit aid tiers based on your GPA and test scores on their websites. So there's a lot of information out there. One thing we've tried to do at D3 Direct is just consolidate that, so families have to spend less time going to multiple sources to figure out what their number might be at a school. But ultimately, at the D3 route, there are a lot of ways to move towards discounted or ultimately free tuition. that's separate from your athletics. So if you get hurt, you still get the money. Whereas at a Division I school, or D2, you might not.
Right, right. Um, and with such a high concentration of Division III schools, it seems like on the East Coast. So let's take a look at like a player from Utah who might be looking at a school on the East Coast. Like
Yep.
my dad played football at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, right?
Yep.
WPI,
WPI.
which is a Division III program. So if they want to go become an engineer, what besides like the cost, what are some other things that parents and players should know about Division III basketball? We'll keep it to basketball. There's so many other sports. I don't want to, but it's a basketball podcast, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. Let's keep
um,
it focused.
and you played, right? You played Division III basketball. So, um, what are some, besides the money? What are some things that you suggest? And subscribing to D3 Direct on Substack,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you think parents and players should be watching out for when they're looking into D3? Or maybe even why
Yeah.
should they be looking at D3?
Great. Yeah. Great question to start off with. I think on the why D3 front, um, to me, with the way college sports is moving, you're really seeing, I mean, it's increasingly Division I is moving towards a semi-professional or professional tier. Uh, and in the middle of that, and we'll say the non-athletic scholarship level of Division III, you kind of have this messy middle where D2 schools who don't have the budget to pay millions of dollars in NIL deals to compete with the big dogs are reclassifying down to Division III. Even some Division I schools like Hartford in Connecticut just moved reclassified to Division III.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah, this is the first year they'll be a fully accredited member, I believe. But yeah, it's kind of, you have this consolidation at the top where the Big Ten and the SEC are really driving changes to the structure of college sports. And at the bottom, in my opinion, you have kind of the last bastion of what college sports used to be, which was your sport, but also a vehicle for you to get an education. Like the reason you're at an institution is not just to play basketball; it's also to get an engineering degree, or think about how to better yourself outside of your sport. So I'll start with that, just to say that Division III still represents that promise to families, and for those trying to think 40 years down the road instead of 4 years, it is the best option to set you up for a career with a network, um, and kind of the tools to succeed for when the ball stops bouncing, which it does for everyone.
Every
Even if you have a 20-year pro career abroad, like Brody Fox, I wish him well. Maybe he plays for 15 years in Europe, and then he comes back and he's going to have a good degree behind his name to go get a job in whatever he wants to do.
Can I?
Um,
I want to jump in on that because it's important.
yeah,
And then we'll get to the other question, which I already forgot what I asked.
I got it.
Okay, good. You got it locked in. I went down this interesting like rabbit hole of the amount of basketball players from Division III Emerson College, which nobody out here has ever heard of,
Yeah,
who are working in NBA scouting in front offices. It was
yeah,
crazy how many
it's
basketball
insane.
had this like, and of course being out here on the West Coast, like Emerson College is not playing on ESPN. Like no one has ever heard of this school out here.
And yet,
And yet there are people who are in high level positions in the NBA,
yeah,
in this like bizarre amount of them graduated from Emerson College. So, you talk about the network that you can build. Man, what a great opportunity. If that's a career path that you want to do, if you want to stay around the game, it's one example. I know we're not on here to promote WPI or Emerson or Wisconsin Stout. There's 400 something other schools we can mention. The
yeah,
point being, man, what an awesome opportunity to go get a degree, play some basketball, become part of a network, become part of a brotherhood. And if you want to go into this scouting world in the NBA, you at least have people who will advocate for you.
totally.
Yeah.
And what I'd say is, one, on that note of front offices, a D3 grad, former Amherst basketball player named Ben Kaplan, just wrote an awesome book. If people want to check this out, it's called Pipeline to the Pros, and it's just it has all these super well researched stories about D3 grads who have changed the NBA as we know it and changed professional basketball as we know it. A lot of guys like Sam Presti, who's the GM for the Thunder from Emerson, as you mentioned, uh, the GM for the Pacers. So this was, that was the finals matchup last year. Is a Simpson College grad. Um, so countless stories in there. Greg Popovich has D3 ties. Um, Budenholzer, who won a championship with the Bucks, was a D3 guy. Um, and then during the NCAA tournament, we always try to put out a post of all the coaches who are former D3 athletes, just to show how pervasive like a D3 degree is in the coaching and management ranks. So if that's really something you want to do, I think the
I
book
love
argues this well, but it's a great start.
That's amazing. I got to check this. It's by Ben Kaplan.
Ben Kaplan. It's called Pipeline to the Pros.
Pipeline to the Pros. All right, awesome. I'll try to find a link and throw it into the show notes. Okay,
He
and
also has a Substack too, which is very good.
I think I might follow it actually. To be
Yeah,
honest with you,
it's very good.
I think I do. If I don't, I apologize. I got it, Ben. Okay, so I've heard it said there's no such thing as stupid questions, just stupid people who ask questions. But maybe smart people become stupid and forget the questions they ask. But I'm glad you got it locked in.
Yep.
So what was the second part of the question?
You were asking what families from Utah
Yes.
should know, right? Should be
That's
thinking about.
yes.
So I think what I always try to say is like it's picking a school is a very tough, life altering decision to make as like a 17-year, 18-year-old. Um, Try to break it down into smaller pieces. So a couple that I can just think of off the top of my head. If you're from Utah, and you're debating going to a school like WPI or Tufts or Emory in Georgia, that's super far away from your family. Number one, like, do you want them to be able to come see you play? Right? Is that important to you? Number two, you're from Utah. You are used to certain weather. I know the weather is very different across the state, but wherever you are you okay going to a school in Chicago where it's going to be snowy and really cold for the majority of your school year? Or would you prefer to go to a school in like Texas, where you're going to get a lot better weather, or Southern California, something like that? So yeah, distance from family, kind of traveling back and forth too. That's one factor. Weather is a big factor. Um, then kind of look at majors, as we mentioned already. Engineering, we talked about packaging at Stout. Um, Definitely one big no-no from that I hear all the time from coaches is a kid will reach out and say, "Hey, I'm really interested in the engineering major at your school," and there's not an engineering major at their school. Um, so I think trying to think through, okay, what do I want to actually do, and then using that as a way to impress coaches by saying, "Hey, I found this specific major that your school offers, and I'm really excited about that program, and here are the reasons why." And then maybe the last thing would just be like, look at the strength of the team, like the coach. How long have they been there? Is it a perennial bottom feeder? Are they really good, and you might have to wait a little while? Do they have a JV team like you brought up earlier, which some great programs do? And guys that are contributing now on the top team played a year or two on the JV team, and that's just how that school does it. But
Yeah.
I would say those things are something to consider.
Yeah, I love that. Let's hang out on this JV thing because I think there is maybe it's not a misconception, maybe it's true.
Yeah.
But I hear stories of like I don't know, ABC school, whatever it is, and some Division 3 school, and they make an offer to a kid. And it's like, oh man, I got an offer to a Division 3 school, and then they decide to go there, and then they show up, and there's their offer, which they didn't fully vet, was to play on the JV team, and they're the 12th guy on the JV team, and it was kind of like, hey, congratulations. Are you playing college basketball? Yes. But that's kind of a knock that I hear just around various circles is like, hey, be
Yeah.
careful if you're going to be looking at a Division 3 school, make sure to ask the questions of like, hey, where, would I be playing on a developmental team? Would I be playing? Where do you see me? What's your, like, what do you see my role as? And
Mhm.
hopefully the coaches are honest. But do those things happen? Again, I'm asking from a position of a bit being naive about this topic.
Yep.
Is that a thing that will happen at some, you can't answer for all 400 something schools. Does that happen though at some of these schools where they have like 30 people on the basketball team and it's like, what am I doing here?
Here's what I will say. I have seen comments like that and personal anecdotes like that on social media too often to dismiss it as a reality. Are there a lot of schools I can point to where I can say like I know that's happening? No. Um, I think there are some great programs, like storied programs. Illinois Wesleyan would be one that I know for sure has a JV team, but I also know for sure has a, very high character coaching staff who would not like, you know, tell a kid tell a kid probably you're going to be on the developmental team if you're coming here. That's what this is going to look like. And then the guys who end up making the varsity are studs and play really well and make all conference and that type of thing, but they sometimes have to pay their dues. The other side of it though, and what you mentioned was like, do people just need to ask the questions beforehand? What I always say to families is ask hard questions during the recruiting process to avoid hard truths when you get to campus. Because if you don't do the diligence, part of that could be going to campus and going on an overnight visit and staying with the team. And if you see there are two teams practicing while you're there, probably a good time to ask the coach, hey, which one do you think I'm going to be on? Um, but yeah, always ask hard questions, even if it's uncomfortable. And otherwise, you will get surprised when you get to campus, and it could be negatively.
Right. Yeah. And especially if you, to your previous point about if you are far away, if you don't like your major and the weather sucks, it's like, if you grew up skiing in fresh powder in Utah
Yep.
and now you are in Ohio and it's freezing cold and there's nowhere to go ski and you're not enjoying your basketball experience,
Yeah.
you're probably going to be pretty disappointed in your whether it's a Division One program or not, right?
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's and to be fair, I think that parents will find out pretty quickly who who wants your player. It will become known if they are being recruited or if you are doing the recruiting. You'll
Yeah.
figure that out pretty quick. If you want to know, just stop sending emails. Just stop doing things. And if they don't reach out,
Pretty clear
I'm,
sign.
it's a pretty clear sign. I'm not. I mean, you have. I tell parents all the time and players, you got to take ownership of your own recruiting, right? Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
find resources like D3 Direct and do go to the camps, right? Learn how to talk to adults, send texts, send messages. But if they're not being reciprocated after maybe an initial thing, they probably aren't really all that interested in you. And that's fine. You just know that and then move on to the next opportunity potentially.
Yeah.
Um,
I would just say one note on that because I think you're right. Kids need to drive. If you are not the top 1% of athletes in America, then you are not going to, most likely, are not going to get just like, you can't sit back and wait for offers to flow in. You
yeah, you
do
can't
need to
just
be,
post on Instagram and then get a bunch of offers. That's not going to happen.
it's not going to happen. That's a fantasy. And uh, so you do need to be driving your own process. What I would say though is if you're not getting a response back, don't rule it out until you get a no. That if you really want to go to school and you think you're a good fit, uh, wait till you get a no from the coach. Because in my own personal journey, uh, I ended up going to Swarthmore, like I mentioned, and the coach had seen me at a camp, the assistant coach, and talked to him, and they were on my list, and I'd reached out and said, I'd love to come for a visit. It was good chatting with your assistant, but I'd love to meet you and the team, and no response. Send a follow up, no response. Send one more. I'm like, all right, last ditch. And then he responds and says, hey, thanks for being so persistent. My mother was sick and I have just been way behind on my recruiting. Come on out for a visit. So
Tremendous point.
yeah, if there's that hint there, then don't give up until they say, sorry, we're recruiting other people.
Yeah, that's an awesome point. I would say where I probably was saying that at a different point, like you've made contact, you've had a couple of back and forths,
Yeah,
and you've sent film, they've watched you play, and then if you're just not getting it, if they're not replying to anything, it's like maybe that listen, I would just give people permission to say no. Hey, coach, totally understand if I'm not a fit for where you're at right now. I don't want to keep bothering you. Can you just please let me know? And
perfect.
that would be great, right? There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. You just need one coach to believe in you. That's it. You don't need to get up
absolutely.
your numbers. You just need one coach to say like this is. I use former Colorado State University Ram Joe Palmer as a great example of this.
Hmm.
Joe played Division III basketball and in Minnesota, some I can't remember. And he said, I played Division III basketball because that was where I needed to go play basketball after high school. I was not good enough. And, I just kept working at it, but I wasn't working at it to become a Division I basketball player. I wanted to be the best Division III basketball player on my team. And it just so happened that because of his work and because of what he was doing, that the coaching staff at Colorado State took notice. He didn't have any other Division I offers. Nobody was
Yeah,
coming to recruit Joe Palmer, and he ended up being the sixth man on an NCAA tournament team, and now he's a professional basketball player overseas. So, what does that mean? It's like you just got take the opportunities, right? And I think
yeah,
Division III is a phenomenal opportunity, not a means to an end. That would be my final point is like I think that Division III basketball or going to Division III college, I think it's a means and an end to your point about the network, the education, the degree that you can get. There's a lot of really, really positive things that come
yeah.
from it.
Oh, absolutely. And on the D1 thing, like if your goal is to play D1 eventually, you know, I'm all for it, right? Like I think you should shoot for for your goals and like try to accomplish those dreams. But I think the Joe Palmer example is a great one because, like you pointed out, and this is happening all across the country. Uh, if no one believes in you, go prove it at the Division III level.
Right.
It just happened in golf. There's a kid, Jimmy Abdo from Gustavus, which is Gustavus Adolphus, which is in Minnesota. He just was like the 4,000th ranked amateur, qualified for the USAM, and then knocked off like the Big Ten champ, the number 4 golfer in the world, and another like University of Houston golfer to make his way to the quarterfinals of this tournament. Now he started to get interest from some D1s, but he's back at Gustavus. But if you can play, people will eventually find you.
Yeah. Totally agree. And by the way, if they don't find you, then you can go play in the TBT for
We
We Are
are D3.
maybe go win $1 million. I don't know. That was a really fun run to watch.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, Carl. So we've talked for a while here. For sure, the best way to get in touch with you is to go subscribe on Substack. We've mentioned that. Follow you on Instagram. Follow you on. I just keep saying Twitter. I'm so sorry.
It's all
It's
right. I don't.
it's a
Yeah.
reaction. I just go to Twitter. Um, and is that kind of probably the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, and I'd say for like all the newest stuff we're doing, they can also check out our website, which is just d3-direct.com. So d3-direct.com. So any that's got the Substack, that's got our recruiting course waitlist, which is up now. And the first 100 people who sign up for that are going to get early access when it's ready. And then also kind of links to one-on-one coaching services that we offer if any families need additional service beyond the newsletter and kind of the resources we post online. So all of that's on the website at d3-direct.com.
And don't you also I seem to remember you'll post like here's all of the camps, like the D3 camps. You'll have like a
Yep.
list, right, of like dates and contacts and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. So much of what we're doing now is just a result of things I wish I'd had when I was going through the recruiting process. And one of those is a camps list. So we're towards the end of the year. I'm still trying to add camps in there. I think we have about 60 left from what is it, September 9th here till the end of the year. But we launched the camps list in January. So that'll be live for 2026 in January. And that's usually something people have really enjoyed. It's all the D3 elite camps we can find, as well as what I see are like relevant Division I camps. So the Ivy Leagues, UPenn, Columbia recruiting camps, because a lot of D3 coaches work those. And then they're looking for like that fringe D1, D3 talent. Um, and then alongside like larger showcase tournaments for, multiple sports. I think we have 13 sports across like 35 states. So
Jeez.
the list is filterable. This year we are going to cross 400 camps, I think, that are all included there with some discount codes too. So
It's perfect. I love it.
yeah,
Oh, I love what you're doing. I love it. It's actually a really similar story to in a weird way, but my friend Brandon over at JUCO Advocate, right, started with just like one person, was like, oh, I can help this person. It's like, well, maybe I can help more people,
yeah,
and ended up building a whole business, focused on JUCO and JUCO athletes. And so it's cool to find you doing something really similar for Division 3 athletes. Maybe I'll find the NCCAA version of
yeah. There you go.
of you, but it's really awesome. I appreciate it. Everyone go check out and support what Karl's doing. Do not rule out Division 3. Don't be scared about all the things that people are telling you. But do your homework, and maybe you'll find a really, really great opportunity. So Karl, thank you so much for joining the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Adam, thanks for having me. This was fun.